Greg Sargent points out in the Washington Post opinion section, quote, the claim that migrants represent Democratic voters is a form of great replacement theory rhetoric. This idea, which posits a nefarious elite scheme to replace native-born Americans with outsiders via migration-enhanced demographic change, comes in various forms. One version is explicitly race-based, envisioning white genocide, which Vance isn't necessarily employing. Another version is more overtly partisan. It posits that immigration is really a plot by liberal and democratic elites to replace conservative voters with, quote, more obedient voters from the third world. Vance's formulation suggests Democrat voters in the form of migrants are one factor killing Ohioans. That's partly a reference to drugs crossing the border, but the hint at an apocalyptic demographic threat is obvious. Joe.
Yeah, you know, Michael Steele, it's fascinating. First of all, Republicans can't have it both ways. First thing we hear is, of course, Michael, is that the white woke left has become so progressive that Hispanics and black Americans are voting more and more for Republicans all the time. And Donald Trump and those around him talked about how popular he was with Hispanic, especially Hispanic men, how popular he was with black men. So this theory of theirs seems to go against their other theory, which is that Hispanic voters and black voters are moving towards Republicans. That's a first thing. I mean, the second thing is it just is. You look at the theory, you look at what the Republicans are doing with it, and there's a reason. And if you look at a recent poll, almost half of Republicans polled are concerned about the, quote, great replacement theory. This has gained a real foothold in the Republican Party. 47%. This is an AP poll. 47% of Republicans believe in replacement theory and are concerned about it. That's extraordinarily significant and frightening. How much this theory has taken root because it's been pushed by Republican leaders and people in the media.
Well, the last part is the most important part, Joe, that has been pushed by the leadership in a way that has two effects. One is it's, as we've seen with the Stefanik and Jim Vances of the party, it raises money, it raises profile, it gives them a platform from which to talk, to be, you know, a part of the latest conversation. The second impact is the impact it has on the actual voters who don't know and who don't understand, who look around them and see their communities changing. And instead of contextualizing that change, they vilify it. They rail against it. Look, this is the same group of folks. I'd love to, I'm very curious to see Elisa's view on the autopsy that the Republican Party put out. Did you think that was a load of crap at the time we put out? Was that replacement theory when Reince Priebus and the party pushed the idea that, you know, we need to embrace diversity, we need to move into and be a part of these communities? So what exactly is the view that we should have of the party's position on Hispanics and African Americans and other groups in this country? What do you say to those Republican-leaning Hispanic voters along the Texas-Mexican border, who the party loves to go out and say, look, they're with us? Mm-hmm. Well, really? Because from what you're telling me, I think they're trying to replace you. So maybe that's why they're voting for you. They want to vote your behind out. You may want to take a look at that. So this is the lie that is being feted upon the American people in a way that results in what we just saw happen in Baltimore. And I'm sorry, you got to draw the line. You can't sit there and say, well, that dot doesn't exist, we can't go there.
Exactly.
You have to go there, because when you pour this rhetoric into the bloodstream of the body politic, you're not only creating an infection, it's an infection that leads ultimately to someone getting killed. And that's something that all of these folks are going to have to account for. And the voters have to hold them accountable for it.
Yeah, Jonathan Lemire. And when J.D. Vance talks about bringing in Democrat voters, you can say Democratic, it won't hurt you. Democratic voters. Again, as Michael Steele said, ask Hispanics along the Texas-Mexico border how they feel. They're breaking Republican. They're voting Republican. Democrats are scratching their heads trying to figure out why they're losing so many Hispanic voters, why Hispanic voters, not just along the Texas border, but across America, are trending more Republican every election. So again, this whole they're shipping in Democratic voters doesn't really play so well. So you know that's part of it, but. You know, Jonathan, you go back and you look at what person that every one of these Republicans probably talk about in their speeches and say we need to go back to the age of Reagan. We have to do this. We have to do that. Ronald Reagan, you talk about amnesty. Ronald Reagan let in, what, 7, 8 million illegal immigrants because he believed that was the best way to take care of the crisis. Ronald Reagan also, when he left office, one of his last speeches, I think it was the night before he left office, it was a strong endorsement of immigration and said that when we close off our country to future immigrants, then we become older and weaker and less powerful as a nation. So, again, I would love to know, does Elise, do all these other people believe that Ronald Reagan was an enemy and was helping along the great replacement of white people?
Yeah, the Statue of Liberty, often a touchstone for President Reagan. And even George W. Bush, the Republican president prior to Trump, at times had pro-immigration policies. But this is a party that changed because of Donald Trump, and who abandoned the autopsy that Michael mentioned after the 2012 defeat of Mitt Romney to Barack Obama, and put his finger on the pulse of something else that was beating through the Republican Party, this anti-immigrant strain, this nationalist fervor. And that is what has inspired, in some ways, so much the Republican Party right now, from top officials like Elise Stefanik to powerful media figures like Tucker Carlson on Fox News. And some of this rhetoric has been cited by people who have gone on to commit very dangerous acts, including the shooter over the weekend. That's where I wanted to